everyone. For today's practice, we're going to be focusing on the hips. So if we have yoga blocks, a stack of books, or even a chair, a table, or even a set of shelves that we can have handy, I highly recommend it. So when we are ready, we're going to find any easy seat we need, and when we have settled into it. Today might be a day that we start first with a body scan. So if we can, we'll draw our attention to the top of our head, and we'll allow that awareness to start traveling down. Now, if we can, we'll allow that awareness to travel down towards the eyes and the jaw. Can we notice if those areas are holding in any tension right now? And as if it is possible, we'll allow our jaw to relax and the muscles around our eyes to soften. Now, if we can, we'll draw that attention down towards the neck, towards the shoulders. Again, just noticing our shoulders. We might even pause here and take a deep breath in and allow our exhale to relax those shoulders down. Now, if we can, we'll continue to draw that awareness downwards. Can we notice the chest and the upper back? Maybe even pause for a moment and notice our heartbeat. And can we continue to draw that awareness down towards the belly and the low back? We might even take a moment to do a light pressing in of the belly, just activating that core, getting into that habit of keeping that core active. And then maybe we're noticing our hips, allowing that awareness to travel down the thighs to the knees, down the shins to the ankles, the feet, and the toes. So today might be a day that we continue to notice our body sensations. Maybe we continue to do this body scan in each pose we're in. Just draw the attention to the top of our head and allow that awareness to slowly come down. Checking in perhaps with all the major joints today, checking in with areas that we know tend to be a little tender or need a little TLC. If it works for us, we might even do a second body scan while we're in our easy seat. Maybe we start at the top of our head and just allow that awareness to travel downwards at our own pace. Now, if we can, we'll draw some attention towards our breath. As always, we want to make sure this time is our own. Tapping in with the breath is one of the best ways for us to stay present, perhaps diffuse whatever is charged in our mind. But we will all find something that resonates with us best. Today might be a day that we are repeating affirmations to ourselves in sync with that breath. And it doesn't have to be anything big or hokey. Perhaps it's as simple as, I breathe in, I breathe out. And we just repeat that. On our inhale, we think to ourselves, I breathe in. On the exhale, I breathe out. Some like to add on from there. Perhaps on the inhale, they're thinking of a positive thing that they could be breathing in. I breathe in vitality. I breathe in peace. And the exhale, they breathe out something positive, maybe something they could share with the world. So I breathe in peace. I breathe out kindness. Again, we don't have to do that if that's not really our cup of tea. Another option is the so-hum meditation, which on the inhale, we think so. On the exhale, hum. So this literally translates to I am. We could even use the English translation if that feels better for us. I am. Sometimes using a different language, especially when we don't necessarily know, can help us get into a more meditative state, which is why sometimes using Sanskrit can be beneficial. So again, make this time our own. As we find our breath, I invite you to notice what you want to think to yourself on the inhale, what you want to think to yourself on the exhale. And can we do this 4 or 5 more times? we are ready, we'll bring our hands together at the heart. As always, we might prefer our palms together. We always have the option of hands directly over the heart, even if I don't necessarily cue it. And if we can, I invite you to start off our practice with that positive intention. So maybe this is something that helps remind us why we're doing our practice, something that helps us stay centered when we start getting distracted or frustrated. Maybe it's just something we want to cultivate and see more of. And then when we are ready, we'll take in the inhale that we need. The exhale could rest our hands against our legs. And always mindful the eyes could stay closed for as long as we need. And if we'd like, we'll start with a few of our torso circles. So we could let our torso shift over to one side. We'll circle out and around and towards the other side. And if it feels good, we can always let those shoulders go behind the hips. If that doesn't feel good for us, we just think more like we're drawing letter D's, that straight line left to right before circling out. So again, we just want to make this time our own. As always, we get to do what we want to do. Some people like to really roll on their sit bones a little bit, kind of make it into kind of a fun stirring sensation. If we prefer, we could anchor our hips down to the ground, which usually just helps us focus a little bit more on stretching out through the hips and through the back. Neither version is better or worse. It just brings something different to the table. Now, if it feels good, we'll go in the opposite direction. And if we can, I invite you to let that breath link up with your movement. And you do that however you would like. Some like to inhale for an entire rotation and then exhale. Others would prefer to inhale for one half, exhale for the other half. Again, make that time your own, just a few more rotations here. Now, if it feels good, we're going to come all the way back to center. Now, when we're ready, we'll inhale our arms up and overhead. And on an exhale, we'll twist towards the right. We'll just let our hands gently find the ground. So again, we can always stay here in this nice upright position. This has great benefits in and of itself. If we'd like to add in a little bit of a twisting side bend, we might start to walk our hands out towards that right side. Now it's perfectly okay if it looks a little more out and away, like we're making a diagonal line away from the body. It's also okay if it looks perfectly along that latitude, perfectly sideways. Again, make that time your own. Listen to your back. Notice if that right or left hip is coming along for the ride. It's not necessarily a problem, but when it comes along for the ride, we're focusing less on our back. We're going to try our best to breathe in and breathe out. Now, if we can, we're going to come back to center. We're going to come over to the other side. So if we can, we're going to inhale all the way up with the arms. On our exhale, we're going to twist to the other side, twisting towards that left side. Just pausing here if we can. So again, this is our time. We might stay completely upright. If it feels good, we'll add in a little bit of a twisting side bend. And again, it might look like we're going straight towards the left. It might look more like we're going out and away, more diagonal. Again, neither is right or wrong. This is going to stretch ourselves in one way. This stretches us in a different way. That's it. So again, whatever we need here, we're going to try our best to breathe in. And try our best to breathe out. Full inhale if possible. Full exhale. One more breath. Now, if we can, we're going to come back to center. As always, we might take a moment, a little shrug out for the shoulders. That's one of my favorite things to do. Now, if we're ready, we'll find our way into our tabletop position, whether we want to roll over our shins, swing the legs around. You get there however you need to get there. And we'll start some of those torso circles, but now from our tabletop position. So we might just let our hips shift towards one side, little circle down and around and towards the other side. Again, same deal here. It might feel good to let those hips go past the knees. If it doesn't, we have a lot of options. The first is we put padding underneath the knees, maybe a blanket or a towel. Another option is to draw those letter D's instead, letting those hips stay behind the knees. Another option is to just draw letter C side to side. Again, we're just trying to warm up our hips, wake them up. That's all we're doing here. Maybe we go in the opposite direction, maybe not. Now, if we can, we're going back to center, slowly but surely. We're just going to make our way back to that more neutral tabletop position. And we'll do a few of our cat-cow movements. So we can always start by dropping our belly down, taking that breath in, rounding our back, taking that breath out, and just repeating that if we can. So we can drop belly down, full breath in. We can exhale, full breath out. And we just repeat this movement as we would like. Again, we don't have to do the conventional version of dropping the belly on the breath in, exhaling on the breath out. Really just notice what you personally need here today. And while we are here, I invite you to notice what the tailbone's doing. Notice how it naturally tucks under when the back rounds up, naturally kind of lifts to the ceiling as the belly drops. If we would like, we can also think about our hips like a bowl. And every once in a while, the bowl tips forward as the belly drops, and then almost goes upright as the back rounds. Another way of thinking about it is when the belly drops, that bowl tips forward. When the back rounds, it starts to tilt back. And then we're going to start to wind down from this, nice and slow. We can pick whatever pose we want to end on as long as we're ready to come back to that more neutral spine. As always, if we need a moment for the wrists, shake them out a little bit, stretch them out, roll the wrists, make fists and straighten them out, just really whatever we need. Now, when we're ready, I want you to try your best to find a neutral spine. We're going to press the belly to the spine, and we're going to think tailbone is as neutral as it can be, so it's neither pointing up nor pointing down. Now we are keeping it pressed to the spine as we take our left leg, and we're going to kick our left leg out straight behind us. Just taking a moment here, noticing if it's lifted up or if we lifted up our right or left hip. We're trying to activate some very specific muscles here, so we're going to take a moment. Now if we can, we'll bend our knee. Can we still keep that knee more or less on the same line as that hip? So again, it's not lifting up, we haven't kind of moved in funky ways. Now if we can, we're going to bring our knee to the chest, and this time, if we'd like, we can round our back. Now we're going back to that neutral position. We're going to press through the belly as we bring the knee back. We're going to try our best to think knees about in line with the hip, maybe not. Now when we're ready, we'll bring knee into the chest again, little round of the back. Press that belly towards the spine, knee can come up, keep those hips level, don't let that tailbone start lifting to the ceiling. And as we're ready, we'll do that one more time, knee into the chest. Pressing that belly to the spine, we'll lift our knee up. Now, if we would like, we're welcome to play around with seeing if we can lift up the knee just a little bit more, but we're still pressing that belly to the spine. That tailbone's not trying to lift to the ceiling to try to compensate. Deep breath in if we can. Deep breath out. Now, if we're ready, we'll bring that down. Now, we might need a moment for the wrists. As always, if we need more of a break than I am providing, we hit pause. We do this at our own pace. Now, if we're ready, we'll try it on the other side. So nice press belly, neutral spine. We'll kick our right leg out. But again, we want to try our best to think that tailbone is not tilting up. That spine is as neutral as it can be. Now, if we're ready, we'll bring our knee to bend. And take a moment with that if we can. Now, once we're ready, we'll bring our knee into the chest. We can round the back. Now, when we're ready, press that belly towards the spine. Keep the core engaged as the knee comes back to its original spot. Now, when we're ready, we'll bring our knee into the chest. And then we'll let that knee come back out. Press that belly in. One more time, knee into the chest. That knee can come back to its original spot. Pausing here if we can. Now, again, we can press the belly to the spine. Keep that tailbone from moving. Maybe the knee can lift up a little more, maybe it doesn't. Again, our low back and our hips are going to, or pelvis are going to try to compensate for the stretch we're trying to get in the front of our hips. We're trying our best to breathe in and breathe out. And then everything can come down. Knee can come down. We'll take a moment. We'll kind of shake out the hands a little bit. We'll find our way into our child's pose. So we're taking a moment here. Again, whatever version of child's pose works for us. And would we like to come back to using some type of affirmation or mantra while we breathe? I am. Especially when we find that our mind is kind of shifted into high gear, it's thrown itself into the future. Sometimes what we need is something verbal to bring us back. So not even just focusing on the breath or focusing on physical sensation, but using our actual words to bring that focus back. I am. Now if we're ready, we'll find our way into our downward facing dog. We can always come back up to table, readjust the knees, readjust the hands. As always, trying our best to let the fingers spread wide. Can we press those finger pads into the mat, even a little clawing in as if we're about to crumple paper. And as we're ready, we'll shift back and up and just find that upside down letter V that feels good. And as likewise, we can explore it in whatever way we need to. So we might really like to paddle out the heels. We might be someone who likes to cross one leg behind one ankle, get a little calf stretch, switch sides, really whatever we need here today. We might even be someone who likes to press the hands into the mat so much that the shoulders go by the ears. This is probably the only time you'll hear it's okay to have your shoulders by the ears. And again, can we think long back? Maybe even a little bend in the knees to help that back lengthen out. We might even like to think about the tailbone doing a little lift to the ceiling. Again, lifting to the ceiling is not a bad thing to do. It just changes what the sensation is. Just noticing if that sensation helps us here. Maybe one more breath in. One more breath out. And if we're ready, we'll find our way into our first forward fold. So we can always walk our feet in or walk the hands towards the feet. It's up to us. We'll take a moment with this if we can. So it might feel good to just shake out the head. It might feel good to nod out the head. Again, we might continue to play with that idea of the tailbone lifting to the ceiling, but putting a nice deep bend into the knees. In the same way that tailbone lifts to the ceiling as the belly drops, just noticing what happens there. Again, we might take that deep breath in. And that deep breath out. Maybe one more breath. Now when we're ready, we'll come up to stand. We'll press through our feet. We can let our arms reach up and overhead. And eventually we'll let our hands find their way to the heart. Now if it's possible, we'll pause here. We'll try our best to breathe. Just take that moment to notice that inhale. And notice that exhale. And then we'll find our way into our chair pose. So we do try our best to let the toes point straight ahead like they're on a set of skis. It could be hips width, it could be feet together, you make it your own. When we are ready, we'll shift back and down. We'll let our arms reach by our ears if that's possible. If that's not possible, bend the elbows, hands at the heart, maybe even hands on the waist. And if we can, we're gonna press that belly to the spine again. And we're gonna try to think heavy tailbone. So this is a pose where we can see a lot of back bending, where all of a sudden our butt kind of sticks out, our belly kind of sticks forward. We're going to try our best to press that belly in, and using that pressing of the belly in to relax the back a little bit. Think tailbone getting heavy, not necessarily a tuck of the tailbone so much as activate through the core. Deep breath in, deep breath out. I know this is a challenge. One more breath. And if we're ready, we'll find our way back into our forward fold. So we can always readjust our feet and come down. And we'll just take a moment with this. So if it feels good, we might move a little bit, but maybe we don't move. Maybe we like to have our hands on our elbows, maybe not. Again, make this forward fold whatever you need right now. Some people even like to play with a little shifting weight back, shifting weight forward. Just trying your best to breathe in. Trying your best to breathe out. One more breath here if that's possible. Now when we are ready, we'll come up to stand again. So we'll soften the knees, we'll press through the feet, we'll let our arms reach up and overhead. We'll let our hands find the heart. And we'll pause. We'll just take that moment to breathe in. And that moment to breathe out. Now if we can, we'll get a little closer to the front of our mat. We'll play a little bit with our balance before finding our way into our high lunge. So maybe we start on our left side. We'll press that left foot into the mat. And as we're pressing that left foot into the mat, maybe that right knee starts to lift, maybe not. So again, just taking a moment here. It might feel good to roll out the ankle, maybe not. Now when we are ready, we can find our high lunge. So we'll step that back foot back. We'll try our best to let the heel stay up. We'll try our best to stay facing forward. We'll let our arms reach. We're going to give ourselves a moment here. So again, we're going to play with a little core activation. This is definitely one of these poses where we can stick our butt out, jut our belly forward. We get this back bend going on. And we can kind of see the correlation between maybe our hips being a little tight and our back being sore in that domino effect. So if we'd like, we're going to put a little bend in the back knee. That helps free up the hips a little bit. We're going to press our belly towards the spine, especially press that low belly in and up. Now we're going to think about our hips like a bowl. Again, now that bowl is going to do a little tilting back. Just noticing how that feels. And we want to think really pressing the belly in and up, and it is this crunching in of the abs that helped our tailbone tilt downwards. We really don't want to think tuck of the tailbone because then we usually end up using some back muscles. And right now it's all about the abdomen. We're going to try our best to breathe in. We're going to try our best to breathe out. One more breath. Now, when we are ready, we're going to relax that. We're going to relax our arms. We're going to do an elevated twist when we're ready. So that means we're not going to bring the forearm to the leg if we don't want to. As always, if that's what you would prefer, you're welcome to add that in. But we're going to take a deep breath in. On the exhale, we're going to twist over towards that left knee, twisting over towards that left side. We're just going to let our hands rest on our thigh. Now, if we would like, we can always take that right or left arm and let the left arm reach out behind us. I think we want to just grab something. Again, make this time your own. Full breath in if possible. Full breath out. One more breath. Now, if we can, we'll unwind. We're going to let our back knee come down to the ground. So we might need to hold on to furniture for this. If we can, we're going to let that back knee lower. Pausing here, we might need to readjust the back knee. For some of us, we like to scooch it back a little bit. We might need a blanket under the knee. Make sure you make this pose your own before you go forward. So we're going to play with that same tilting back. So we're going to try to think, press that belly in. And the tailbone does that little lowering down. Again, we can think tuck the tailbone in terms of direction, but we want to think core engaged. It tilted the hips back. Just notice how that feels. I'm going to try our best to breathe in. And try our best to breathe out. Now, if we can relax that. If we like to do a little tilt or shift forward, we can. Just notice, though, if shifting forward results in that little tilting of the hips forward and the belly drops forward as well. Now, if we'd like, we'll add in our twist. If we would like, this could be the one where the forearm or the elbow finds the thigh. And we'll start with that forearm or elbow. We'll take that right arm, and we can either place the forearm on the thigh or the elbow on the thigh. And this could be our pose. I like to call this kind of a GQ model posing because that arm's kind of hovering around the chin. If we prefer, we can take that top arm, place it on the bottom hand, find ourselves in our prayer arms. Another option is to take that right hand, kind of rest it against the head, maybe cradle the head. Again, lots of things we could do. This maybe is the glamour shot pose. If this was GQ, this is glamour shot. So we're going to try our best to breathe in Breathe out. Now when we're ready, we're gonna mindfully unwind. We're gonna bring ourselves forward into that forward fold. We get there however we need to. Some will wanna come up and step forward. Others will prefer to place their hands down, lift up the back knee, and then step that back foot in. Again, make that time your own. If we're in a forward fold, we might take a moment here, and then we'll all meet standing. We'll press through our feet. We'll let our arms come up. And we can all meet in equal standing pose. Let those hands find the heart. And again, it doesn't have to be hands to the heart with palms together. It could be hands directly over the heart. Now, when we're ready, we try it on the other side. So we can relax the arms. And again, we might try to find one spot to focus in on. When we are ready, we'll put weight into that right leg. I'm gonna press that right leg in. We're gonna lift up the left knee. And again, just notice where the balance is today. It's okay if today is one of those days where we're feeling a little extra wobbly. Just notice. Maybe a little roll out of the ankle, maybe not. Now, when we are ready, we'll step that foot back. We'll try our best to let the heel stay up. We'll try our best to stay facing forward, and those arms can reach. So again, we're gonna try our best to think core activation to help get a little extra stretch in that left hip. So if we can, we're gonna press the belly to the spine. We're gonna soften that back knee. Then we're gonna think pressing in and up through the low belly, letting those hips start to tilt back. If we prefer, we can even have our hands on our hips and just think light tilting back. But still, we wanna think activate through the core. Don't make the back muscles do all the work here. This is about the abdomen here. Full breath in if we can. Full breath out. Deep inhale if possible. Deep breath out. Again, it's okay if it's challenging. If it's painful though, ease out. We're on our last breath. And then we can always straighten that leg out if we would prefer. Now when we are ready, we'll find that twist and we can just think. Relax the arms, deep breath in. On the exhale, we'll twist towards that right side. Maybe the hands are on the legs. Now, if we prefer, we could take that right arm and really reach it out behind us. Just give ourselves a moment with this pose if we can. Full breath in. Full breath out. One more breath. Now, if we can, we'll unwind, we'll come up, and eventually that back knee can come down. So again, get there however we need to. If we need the support of some stable furniture, perfectly fine. If we need a moment to put something padded underneath that knee, make sure you make that time. We want to make sure we're gentle with all the joints, especially joints that are closest to the ground right now. So again, once we are here, we might try to think, press through the belly. Let our tailbone do that traveling under as the hips essentially tilt that bowl back instead of just trying to pour water onto the back leg. Again, it's okay if we get a dull ache, but if it's going past that, ease back. Again, inch by inch when it comes to stretching. We are not trying to make any grand leaps here. Full breath in if we can. Full breath out. Now we are welcome to relax that. If we like our little tilting forward, we can. I know I personally do. If you are like me though, you do have to be careful. Am I compensating with my low back? Am I suddenly jutting forward in order to get the pose? Can I stay active through my core? Make sure I'm not just hanging out in that left hip. Now we'll add in our twist. So we might take that left arm. We might just place left arm on the leg. Maybe it's the elbow. And again, we can always do kind of our GQ pose, or top hand can meet bottom hand, or bottom hand can rest the head, glamour shot pose. And whatever we need here, we're gonna try our best to breathe in, try our best to breathe out. Full inhale if possible, full exhale. One more breath. Now if we're ready, we're gonna unwind. Now we come out of this however we need to. If we would prefer to lift the back knee up and step in, we can. If we prefer to bring our hands down, bring the back knee up. And step in, we can. Again, make this time your own. You might just want to hang heavy here, maybe bent knees, maybe not. Might just feel good to shake out the head. Might just feel good to nod out the head. Now, if we're in a forward fold, we'll meet in standing, pressing through the feet, arms could reach up, hands can find the heart. We'll pause here if we can. Just that moment to notice, that moment to breathe in and breathe out. And one more time, we're coming to chair pose. So again, we are trying our best to let the toes point straight ahead. If not, if they have to point out, that's okay. That's just a different way of coming into essentially a squatting position. Now, as we're ready, we'll shift back and down. Again, we're gonna try our best again to think, press through the belly. Let the tailbone get heavy. But also, can we let our weight shift a little bit back? We wanna make those glute muscles work hard. And strong glute muscles is at the foundation of almost everything we need. Weak glute muscles are at the center of almost all of our muscle imbalances, sorenesses, tight back, everything. So that's why poses like this are so important. Even as the legs get tired, can we fire up through those glute muscles? Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more breath. And then we'll find our forward fold. We can readjust, we can come down. Any kind of forward fold we need here. So again, maybe we'd like to play around with letting the knees soften and thinking about that tailbone doing a little tilting upward, a little standing cow pose. So for some of us, we might find that kind of fires up through our hamstring muscles a little bit. There's a reason for that. Our hamstrings connect at the pelvis. When they're overworked and chronically tightened, they tug our pelvis into that kind of tucking under position. And here we're playing around with trying to release through the hamstrings. Likewise, when the front of our hips are chronically tightened, they pull things forward. They create that tailbone tilting up in things like our high lunge, which is why we play with the inverse. So the position of our hips, the position of our pelvis, not inherently good or inherently bad, just bringing something different to the table. And maybe with that anatomy lesson in mind, we just give ourselves a few more breaths. And maybe one last downward facing dog. We can plant our hands down, we can step back, finding that upside down letter V. Trying our best to breathe in. Trying our best to breathe out. Maybe one more breath here. Now when we're ready, we'll find child's pose again. And we'll take a moment in this child's pose. And I really invite you to do a little body scan here. So we might start, since we're in child's pose, especially if we're in extended child's pose, to start at the tips of our fingers. But this can be done in enclosed child's pose or praying child's pose. Just start with noticing your fingers. Allow that awareness to travel down the arms to the shoulders, the neck and the head. Allow that awareness to travel back down the neck, down the back, down towards the hips. We might even pause for a moment with the hips. How do they feel right now? We'll let that awareness continue to travel down towards the feet. We'll just give that a moment and notice. Now, if we would like, we'll play with lizard pose. So again, make sure you're only going to your level, nobody else's. Now we might come into lizard pose by coming up to table. We might readjust the knees. Now we might put a little weight into our right side, that right leg, and take that left leg, lift it up, swing it around, and bring it towards that left hand. Now we might need to do a little finagling here. Now we might readjust by bringing the back knee back, bringing the back or front foot forward, readjusting as we need to. Now this is a pose where we can seriously customize. We might prefer feet facing straight ahead. We might prefer to let that knee hang out. If you're like me, you like to let the hip shift back a little bit, let the knee come out and then shift forward. Another option is to turn the foot out and then roll onto the pinky edge. Likewise, we might stay with our hands on the mat. We might have our block or stack of books. If we have a chair, maybe we're holding on to the seat portion of the chair instead. And again, neither better nor worse. They're bringing different things to the table, and we get to ask, is what it's bringing to the table beneficial? If we stay pretty upright, we're focusing on that right hip. If we prefer to stay low, it means we're focusing a little more on the inner thigh of that left leg. I always love kind of diving into the anatomy, what we're experiencing in these poses, for a huge reason. None of these variations are better or worse, but sometimes we can get into the attitude of, well, if I don't lower onto my forearms, then I'm not doing the right pose. I'm not doing the fullest expression. We want to step away from that thinking. We want to think, what do I need right now? Maybe what I need is to be super upright, almost like I'm in my high lunge pose again. Maybe what I need is to be somewhere in the middle. Maybe it is lowering down, maybe not. Good rule of thumb is if we have to check out on what the body's telling us, if we have to kind of do these little cheats, these little maneuvers around our body in order to get it done, it might not be the best for us. And perhaps with hearing this, we didn't realize that we just spent about a minute or so in this pose, and it's time for us to come out. So we can come out however we'd like to come out. Now that might mean lifting back up and then coming back. We might shift our hips back first and then swing the leg around. And then we're gonna do any movement we personally need here. So maybe we move a little side to side. This is my personal favorite because I didn't stretch my hips front to back, so that little side to side movement feels really nice. So if I prefer, I could do cat-cow. Sometimes cat-cow's a little too tender because I'm doing that front to back movement. Maybe it just feels good to come to child's pose, maybe not. Again, if we need extra time in between poses, we give ourselves that extra time. Only when we're ready, we'll try it on the other side. So we could put a little more weight into that left leg. We could swing our right leg around to the front, right by the hand. And again, we might need to readjust. Do I need to scooch my front foot forward, scooch it back, scooch my back knee back? Again, what do I need? Now, do I want my hands on a prop? Do I want to lower down? What do I want to do with that front foot? Again, make sure you're making this pose your own. You're checking in with yourself every time you do that. And that is going to provide us benefits that I could probably spend all class talking about. But for this particular pose, I'm going to try to limit what I'm saying. And at least on this side, see what it feels like when we don't have somebody kind of talking us through it. Now maybe this can get another full breath in and full breath out. And if we're ready, we can come out. So that might mean lowering down or coming back up. Maybe we like to let our hips shift back and then swing back. Again, any movement we need here. So again, I really like that side to side movement. That gets everything going again without hitting the areas that were directly affected, namely the front of my hips. It might feel good to do a little cat-cow movement, even though it is affecting those muscles we just stretched, that little kind of front to back movement. But hey, if it works for you, let's add that in. Get whatever we need. Now, if we're ready, we'll find our way into our seated position, and we just get there however we need to. Swing the legs around, roll over the shins. If we are ready, we'll straighten the legs out. We might shake them out a little. We might move our feet a little bit. We're gonna find our way into our bound angle pose. We can let the knees bend, soles of the feet can meet, we can kind of readjust our hips, and we have our choices. Do I wanna be upright in this pose? Some even prefer to bring the hands behind them, do a little tilt back, or would I prefer to tilt forward? So whatever you do, I invite you to give it a big breath in first, and then exhale into whatever version of the pose that you want. And we're going to take a good number of deep breaths here. Again, does it help to be verbal with our breath? Thinking to ourselves, I breathe in, I breathe out, or I am so hum. Can we give this another full breath in and full breath out? Now, if we can, we'll slowly but surely come up. We'll let the legs stay where they are if we can. We're going to repeat what we did at the very beginning of class. We'll add in our twist. So we're just going to take a deep breath in. The hands can stay where they are. And on the exhale, we'll twist towards that right side. And just like before, we might stay upright. If we prefer, we're welcome to walk out our hands. Now, it could be a little diagonal out and away. It could be straight along the side. But again, we'll just notice, does my right hip or my left hip come up for the ride? It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean we're focusing a little less on the back. And we'll try our best to breathe in and our best to breathe out. Now, when we're ready, we'll come back up, we'll come to center, we'll try it on the other side, but we want to start first, deep breath in. On the exhale, we'll twist over towards that right side, and we decide, do I want to be upright for this? Would I prefer to walk out? And we'll just notice what we need right now. We'll notice if that right hip tried to come along for the ride, and if we would prefer, we could anchor that down. We're going to try our best to breathe in and breathe out. Now, if we're ready, we can come back to center. We can let our legs come back up and back to center. We might shake them out a little bit. We might move our feet a little side to side. And then we'll find our way into a twist. So we can always take in that right knee. We can cross it over that straight leg. We're going to pause to lengthen out our back, especially that low back. Get tall, press those sit bones down. Take that deep breath in. On that exhale, we'll twist towards that right side, and we might prefer to hold the knee or hug it. Just really make this pose your own. What do we want to do with that opposite arm? Or would we like it on the hip? Would we like that right hand behind the back? We might even like to reach out behind us, like we want to shake somebody's hand. Again, what do we need? So we'll try our best to breathe in. And try our best to breathe out. Full inhale. Full exhale. Now, when we're ready, we'll come back to center. We'll take a moment to twist in the opposite direction. As always, we have our options. Do I like the upright version? Do I like to plant one or two hands down? Do I like to walk my hands out? Do I like to reach out that right hand? Again, we can continue that theme of noticing the opposite hip. Does it tend to come along for the ride? Not necessarily a problem, but it means we're not focusing as much on the back anymore. Maybe one more breath in. One more breath out. If we can, we'll come up, we'll unwind, we'll shake everything out if we need to. We'll find our twist in the opposite direction. We can bring that knee in. We can take it over the straight leg. We're gonna get tall, press those sit bones down, get nice and tall through the back. And on the exhale, we'll twist towards that left side. Again, we're giving these twists a good number of deep breaths. And I want you to see if you can fill up those lungs, even though we're a little constricted right now. And what happens on the exhale? Now maybe this can get another full breath in and full breath out. If it is possible, we're gonna unwind. We're gonna come over to the other side. So we're welcome to be tall in this. We're welcome to plant the hands. We're welcome to reach out. It's really whatever we personally need right now. Can we give this another full breath in? And full breath out. Now if we're ready, we unwind. We uncross, we'll shake them out, we'll move the feet. We'll let our backs come down in really whatever way we need to onto the mat. So again, make this time your own, make it whatever you might need it to be. And once our back is on the mat, we can move in whatever ways we need to move right now. Now, if we would like, we might play with a slightly different way of coming into our twist than we usually do. Usually we set up through the arms and then move the legs. But what if we set up through the legs and then move the arms? What we might do, and this is my personal preference, I like to shift my hips in the opposite direction. So if we're gonna twist to the right first, I'm gonna shift my hips over towards the left, but then my whole body is gonna roll over towards the right. And this might even be the pose we need today. Now, if we'd like, we're gonna think about that left shoulder starting to open up and start to find the ground. Now, if we need to adjust, if we found that didn't feel good, maybe we come out of it, readjust the knees, and then open up, maybe not. Adjust the arms however you'd like to. Maybe it's those cactus arms or straight arms. Just notice how that feels. We're going to try our best to give this a good number of deep breaths here. Maybe this can get one more breath in. And one more breath out. Now we can come out the way we came in, if we would like. And that might mean bringing that left shoulder up and over to the right again. Whole body can come back to center. We might need to readjust a little bit. We might try it on the other side now. We might shift our hips over towards the right. Let our whole body come over towards the left. And then we'll think about that right shoulder coming up and over towards that right side. Some like to really extend the arm out as well. Maybe we don't. Maybe we just focus focus on movement through the shoulder. Again, make this your own. If we came into a twist that doesn't work for us, we don't do it. Can we see what happens if we give this 3 more breaths? can take that right arm, bring it all the way back to the left. Whole body can come back to center. We can move in whatever way we need to move. Now, if we would like, we might play with either our supported bridge pose or a pyramid pose. Now, if we have yoga blocks, if we have something very sturdy, like a very thick book that we feel wouldn't get jostled around a little bit, whatever that will work for us, we might take that block with our knees bent, press through the feet, lift up, place that block or whatever it is underneath the tailbone area and relax our hips down. So this can also be done with a stack of blankets, a couple of pillows, a couch cushion. If we do not want to do this particular pose, we can keep our hips down. We'll let our knees knock into each other and our feet walk away, so we've made that pyramid out of our legs. Now, if we can, I invite you to close the eyes. I invite you to let the hands be wherever we want them to be. And we're going to try our best to come back to our breath. And if we would like, we might do what's known as the affirmation meditation. Now, can we think of whatever our intention was? So maybe that was peace, strength, love, resilience. If we didn't make one, or if we just want to change our mind about it, great time to make a new one. Now, if we can we reframe that as an affirmation? I am peace. I am resilience. Now, if we can, maybe on our inhale, we think that affirmation. And the exhale, we just focus on the exhale. So the inhale is about the affirmation. The exhale is about focusing on the out-breath. Now, maybe we can do this 4 or 5 times, but don't worry about counting this. Might stay here. In fact, we might continue this practice throughout our Shavasana pose, our resting pose. Now, if we do need additional poses, if we want to come out for whatever reason, do a different type of Shavasana, we can. As always, we want to make sure this time is your own, but also make sure you give yourself this time. This is usually the point where a lot of us might hit pause and say, well, we've done enough, I'll skip the Shavasana part. Our Shavasanas right now are only a couple of minutes long, and one of the reasons for that is so we can make sure we give ourselves at least a little time to rest. So again, make sure you're doing what you personally need. Ring or play with my singing bowls while we're doing that. Eventually they'll fade to silence, and eventually I can guide us back. And what we do between now and then is entirely within our power. can start with a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Now, if it feels good, we can start to return some movement. But also mindful that if we just want to spend some time breathing deeply and then just slowly coming back up to seated, we can. Make this time your own. Just notice if that movement can stay slow. Notice if we're tempted to kind of jump into the next movement, jump into being seated. See if you can slow that down, even if that initially is not very comfortable for us. Now, if it's possible, we will meet in that easy seat, but in our own time. When we are ready, we'll let our hands come together at the heart. Now, if we like, for our moment of gratitude, we can come back to that intention one more time. Is there anything involving that word or related to that word that we are grateful for? And then whatever meaning of namaste resonates, and perhaps today it is the resiliency within me, recognizes the resiliency within you. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your practice. Namaste.